Part 1. The Discovery. Dr. Sarah Chen floated through the dark corridors of Kepler Station, her helmet light cutting through the shadows. The old research station had been abandoned for 3 years, but her ship's sensors had picked up strange energy readings from inside. As a xenobiologist, Sarah had seen many strange things in space, but something about this place felt wrong. Control. This is Dr. Chen, she spoke into her radio. I'm inside the station now. Everything looks normal so far. The station was supposed to be empty. According to the records, all research had stopped when the government pulled funding. Someone had been here recently. The air recyclers were still running. Fresh food containers sat in the cafeteria. Someone was living here in secret. Sarah moved deeper into the station. Her scanner beeped softly, showing the energy signature was getting stronger. It was coming from Level 7, the restricted research section. That was odd. Level 7 was supposed to be storage only. She took the elevator down. The doors opened with a soft hiss. The corridor ahead was different from the rest of the station. Clean white walls, bright lights, smell of antiseptic. In the air, this looked like a medical facility. Sarah's heart began to beat faster. Medical facilities and abandoned stations meant illegal experiments. Illegal experiments usually meant someone was suffering. She followed her scanner down the hall. The energy reading was getting stronger with each step. At the end of the corridor, she found a heavy door marked Authorized Personnel Only. Her access card shouldn't work here, but she tried it anyway. The door opened, Sarah stepped inside, and froze. The room was filled with machines she had never seen before. Strange blue lights pulsed from glass containers. Wires and tubes ran everywhere. But in the center of the room was something that made her blood run cold. A glass chamber filled with glowing liquid. And inside the chamber was a girl. She looked young, maybe 16 by human standards, but she wasn't human. Her skin was pale, blue, almost white. Her hair was silver and moved like it was underwater. Most striking were her eyes. They were closed now, but Sarah could see they were larger than human eyes, with long silver lashes. This was an Altarian. Sarah had seen pictures in her studies, but she had never expected to see one alive. Everyone thought they were extinct. 50 years ago, the Hegemony Empire had destroyed the Altarian homeworld. The official story was that it was an accident during a mining operation, but Sarah had read the classified reports. The Hegemony had destroyed Altair on purpose, claiming the Altarians were a threat to galactic peace. Now here was one, alive. Trapped in this machine, Sarah moved closer to the chamber. The girl's chest was rising and falling slowly. She was alive but unconscious. Tubes ran from her arms and legs, drawing blood. Other tubes pumped strange fluids into her body. Around the chamber, machines hummed and beeped, keeping her in this half-sleeping state. On a nearby table, Sarah found a computer terminal. She accessed the files with her scientist credentials. What she read made her sick to her stomach. The girl's name was Zara. She was the last known Altarian in the galaxy. For 5 years, she had been kept here in secret. The researchers had been studying her DNA, running test after test. They had discovered something incredible and terrible. Altarian DNA could regenerate almost any injury, could cure diseases. It could even stop aging. The researchers believed that with enough study, they could create a serum that would make anyone immortal. But the process was killing Zara slowly. Each time they took her blood, each time they ran their tests, she got a little weaker. Reports showed she had maybe 6 months left to live. Sarah felt sick. This was murder disguised as science. She walked back to the chamber and placed her hand on the glass. The girl's eyes suddenly opened. They were beautiful, deep purple, like the color of space between stars. For a moment, they stared at each other through the glass, then the girl moved. Her hand came up and pressed against the glass where Sarah's hand was. Her mouth opened, and even though Sarah couldn't hear through the liquid, she could read the girl's lips. "Help me," Sarah's heart broke. She looked around the room for controls. There had to be a way to open the chamber. She found a control panel, but it was locked with security codes she didn't have. The girl was still looking at her, still pressing her hand against the glass. Her eyes were full of hope and fear. She mouthed words again. Please, human, open the door. Set me free. Sarah had a choice to make. She opened this chamber, she would be breaking about 50 galactic laws. The hegemony would hunt her down. Her own government might arrest her. Her career would be over. But looking into those purple eyes, Sarah knew she couldn't walk away. This wasn't a lab rat or a test subject. This was a person, a young girl who had been tortured for 5 years while the galaxy thought her species was extinct. Sarah pulled out her emergency plasma cutter. It was designed to cut through ship hulls in case of emergency. It would work on this chamber too. Stay back, she told the girl, gesturing with her hands. Zara understood and moved to the far side of the chamber. Sarah fired up the plasma cutter and began working on the chamber's seals. Alarms immediately started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Computer voice announced. Containment breach. Security alert. All personnel to emergency stations. Sarah ignored the alarms and kept cutting. The plasma beam sliced through the chamber's metal frame like butter. Glowing liquid began to leak out onto the floor. Finally, the front panel of the chamber fell away with a loud crash. The liquid rushed out in a wave, and Zara collapsed forward. Sarah caught her before she hit the ground. The girl was light as a feather and cold as ice. Her silver hair was plastered to her head. She was shivering and could barely stand. But she was alive, and she was free. Thank you, Zara whispered in perfect English. Her voice was soft and musical. I thought I would die in that cage. Not today, Sarah said, helping Zara to her feet. But we need to get out of here. Those alarms will bring security. Zara nodded, though she could barely walk. Sarah wrapped her in her emergency blanket and supported her weight as they headed for the door. As they left the laboratory behind, Sarah knew her life had just changed forever. She had saved an innocent girl, but she had also just declared war on some of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Behind them, machines continued to beep and flash, no longer monitoring their precious prisoner. The cage was empty, but the real fight was just beginning. Part 2. The hunt begins. Sarah helped Zara stumble through the station corridors. The Altarian girl was weak from years of captivity, but she was getting stronger with each step. Her purple eyes were alert, constantly looking around like a trapped animal that had finally escaped its cage. Where are we going? Zara asked, her voice still soft but more steady now. My ship is docked at Bay 7, Sarah replied. We need to get you medical attention and figure out what to do next. They reached the docking bay where Sarah's research vessel Prometheus waited. It wasn't a big ship, just a crew of 12 scientists and engineers on a deep space survey mission. But right now, it was their only hope of escape. Captain James Rodriguez met them at the airlock. He was a tough man in his 50s, who had seen plenty of strange things in space. But even he stopped and stared when he saw Zara. Dr. Chen, he said slowly, please tell me you have a good explanation for bringing an unknown alien aboard my ship. She's not unknown, Captain, Sarah said. She's Altarian. And she's been held prisoner on this station for 5 years. The captain's expression changed from confusion to shock. Altarian? But they're all dead. The hegemony wiped them out decades ago. Not all of them, Zara said quietly. I am the last. Captain? Rodriguez looked at Sarah, then at Zara, then back at Sarah. Doctor, do you understand what you've done? If the hegemony finds out we have her, they'll kill us all, Sarah finished. I know, but I couldn't leave her there to die. The captain was quiet for a long moment, then he nodded. Get her to the medical bay. I'll call a crew meeting. An hour later, all 12 crew members gathered in the main conference room. Zara sat beside Sarah, now cleaned up and wearing spare clothes. She looked almost human except for her pale blue skin and those striking purple eyes. Dr. Kim Park, the ship's medic, had already examined her. She's malnourished and weak, he reported. But her body is healing itself at an incredible rate. I've never seen anything like it. Engineer Lisa Santos spoke up. Captain, we all know what happened to Altair. The hegemony said it was an accident, but everyone knows the truth. They committed genocide. Now they have the last survivor, added Navigator Tom Walsh. They'll want her back. Captain Rodriguez stood at the head of the table. I've been monitoring hegemony communications. 3 hours ago, Someone reported a security breach at Kepler Station. A hegemony fleet is already on its way here. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The hegemony didn't negotiate. They didn't show mercy. They would take Zara and kill anyone who had helped her. There's something else, Zara said softly. All eyes turned to her. They weren't just keeping me prisoner. They were using my blood to make something, a serum. They said it could make people live forever. Dr. Park leaned forward. That's why they kept you alive. Altarian DNA has regenerative properties that could theoretically extend human life indefinitely. But the process was killing me, Zara continued. Each time they took my blood, I got weaker. In 6 months, I would have died. Sarah felt angry all over again. They were murdering her slowly for scientific research. The question is, Captain Rodriguez said, what do we do now? We can't outrun a hegemony fleet. We can't outfight them. We can't hide from them. Could surrender her, suggested Communications Officer Rachel Green quietly. Save ourselves. The room erupted in angry voices. Several crew members started shouting at once. That's murder. We don't abandon innocent people. How is that different from what the hegemony did? Captain Rodriguez raised his hand for silence. I didn't say I agreed with it. I'm just laying out our options. There is another choice, Zara said. Everyone looked at her again. My people had advanced biotechnology before the hegemony destroyed us. I know things that could help you. What kind of things? Engineer Santos asked. Zara was quiet for a moment, as if deciding whether to trust them. Living ships, organic armor, weapons that grow instead of being built. My people integrated biology with technology in ways the galaxy has never seen. Dr. Park's eyes widened. That's how your regeneration works. Your entire biology is integrated with some kind of nanotechnology. Not nanotechnology, Zara corrected. Biotechnology. Living machines that work with organic tissue. If I could teach you to build them, we could fight back, Santos finished. Captain Rodriguez looked around the table at his crew. All right, people. Time to vote. Option 1. We surrender Zara to the hegemony and hope they let us live. Option 2. We fight. Fight with what? Asked Navigator Walsh. We're a research ship. We have basic defensive shields and 1 plasma cannon. They're bringing warships. We fight with human stubbornness, Sarah said firmly. And with Altarian biotech. And with the fact that we're doing the right thing. It's suicide, Green said. Maybe, Captain Rodriguez replied. But sometimes doing the right thing means taking risks. All in favor of fighting? Sarah raised her hand immediately. Dr. Park raised his. Engineer Santos followed. One by one, every crew member raised their hand, except for Green. Unanimous except one, the captain announced. Green, I understand your concerns, but we're not abandoning this girl. Green looked around the room, then slowly raised her hand. If we're going to die, we might as well die for something worthwhile. Then it's settled, Captain Rodriguez said. Zara, how long do we have before the hegemony arrives? Based on their fleet speed, 18 hours, she replied. 18 hours to turn a research ship into a warship, Santos muttered.
This should be interesting.
Zara stood up. There's something you should know about my people. We believe that technology should serve life, not the other way around. Everything we built was alive, growing, adapting. If I can teach you these principles, we can build something they've never seen before, Doctor. Park said with growing excitement. Sarah felt a spark of hope. These people could have voted to save themselves. Instead, they chose to risk everything for a girl they had just met. It was exactly the kind of irrational human behavior that drove other species crazy. But maybe that irrationality was exactly what they needed. All right, people, Captain Rodriguez said. We have 18 hours to work miracles. Let's get started. As the crew dispersed to begin preparations, Zara caught Sarah's arm. Why? She asked. Why are they willing to die for me? Sarah smiled. Because that's what humans do. We don't abandon people who need help. Even when it's dangerous. Even when it's stupid. Your species is very strange, Zara said. Strange enough to fight the hegemony, Sarah replied. Let's hope it's strange enough to win. Part 3. Impossible odds. The Prometheus was buzzing with activity. In the ship's main lab, Zara worked alongside Dr. Park and Engineer Santos, her hands moving over strange organic samples she had kept hidden in her clothing during captivity. These were the last remnants of Altarian biotechnology in the galaxy. The key is symbiosis, Zara explained as she mixed a glowing blue substance with human technology components. Your machines fight against biology. Ours work with it, Santos watched in amazement as the mixture began to pulse like a heartbeat. It's alive? Everything my people made was alive, Zara said. Ships that could heal themselves, weapons that adapted to their targets, armor that grew stronger under attack. How long to integrate this with our systems? Dr. Park asked Zara. Looked worried. Normally it would take months. We have ours. In the engine room, the rest of the crew worked frantically to modify their ship. They ripped out non-essential systems and installed every spare power cell they could find. The Prometheus had never been designed for combat, but they were turning it into a warship, whether it wanted to be one or not. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching the scanner. Still no sign of the hegemony fleet, but they would be here soon. Captain Navigator Walsh called out, "I'm picking up long-range signals. Hegemony military frequency, put it on speakers." A cold mechanical voice filled the bridge. "Attention? Stolen vessel Prometheus. This is Commander Vex of the Hegemony Enforcement Division. You have unlawfully removed Hegemony property from Kepler Station. Return the specimen immediately and prepare to be boarded." Captain Rodriguez picked up the communicator. "This is Captain Rodriguez. We don't have any Hegemony property. We have a person who is being held prisoner against her will. Actus." Commander Vex's laugh was like breaking glass. "The creature is not a person. It is a resource. It's a very valuable resource that belongs to the hegemony by right of conquest." "She has a name," Rodriguez replied angrily. "Her name is Zara, and she's under our protection." "Your protection?" Vex sounded amused. "Captain, you have one small research vessel. I have 50 warships. Your protection is meaningless." The transmission cut off. Walsh turned to the captain with wide eyes. 50 ships, sir? We don't stand a chance." "We don't need to win," Rodriguez said grimly. "We just need to buy time for Zara to finish her work." In the lab, Zara was connecting biotechnology nodes to the ship's main computer. Her hands were shaking with exhaustion, but she kept working. "Almost done," she whispered. "The integration is taking hold." Sarah watched the ship's readings change on her scanner. The energy patterns are shifting. It's like the ship is... awakening. "In a way it is," Zara said. Suddenly she collapsed. Dr. Park caught her before she hit the floor. "I'm okay," she gasped. "The biotech is connected to my life force. As long as I'm alive, it will work." "If you die?" Santos asked. Zara didn't answer, but her silence was answer enough. On the bridge, the long-range scanner suddenly lit up with contacts. 50 red dots appeared at the edge of sensor range, moving fast toward their position. "They're here," Walsh announced unnecessarily. Through the view screen, they could see the hegemony fleet emerging from hyperspace. The ships were massive, dark, gray vessels, bristling with weapons. Each one was 10 times the size of the Prometheus. Commander Vex's voice came over the radio again. "Final warning, humans. Surrender the specimen or be destroyed." Captain Rodriguez looked around his bridge. His crew was scared but determined. It made their choice. "Negative, Commander. The girl stays with us." "Then you will all die for nothing," Vex replied. "Attack formation. Destroy them." The hegemony ships moved into position, surrounding the tiny research vessel. Weapon ports opened along their hulls. Energy began building in their main guns. "They're charging weapons," Walsh reported. 30 seconds to firing range. In the lab, Zara struggled to her feet. "It's time," she said. She placed her hands on the biotech interface she had built. Immediately, the ship began to change. Living tissues spread across the hull like ivy growing in fast motion. The ship's metal skin became organic, pulsing with its own heartbeat. Weapon ports changed shape, becoming more like mouths than machine. Openings. "What's happening to my ship?" Rodriguez demanded over the intercom. "It's becoming something new," Zara replied weakly. Part machine, part living organism, will adapt to whatever they throw at us. The first hegemony ships opened fire. Massive energy beams lanced toward the Prometheus. The crew braced for impact, expecting to be vaporized instantly. Instead, the ship's new bioarmor absorbed the energy. Where the beams hit, the living tissue glowed and pulsed, then redistributed the energy harmlessly across the hull. Impossible, Commander Vex's voice crackled over the radio. Increase firepower. All ships, focus fire on that vessel. 50 warships opened fire at once. The space around the Prometheus lit up like a star going nova. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and kinetic projectiles hammered the little ship from all directions, but the ship kept adapting. Each attack made it stronger. The bioarmor learned from every hit, becoming more resistant with each second. "We're still alive," Walsh said in amazement. "More than alive," Santos reported from engineering. "Ship's power is actually increasing. The biotech is converting their attacks into energy we can use." Rodriguez grinned fiercely. "Then let's return the favor. All weapons. Fire at will." The Prometheus fired back, but its weapons were different now. Instead of energy beams, it launched living projectiles that burrowed into the hegemony ships. Hulls. Instead of plasma bolts, it fired spores that spread across enemy shields and began dissolving them.
Oh, what are those things?
Vex demanded as his ship's defenses failed one by one. In the lab, Zara was growing weaker by the minute. The biotech was drawing on her life force to power the ship's transformations. Sarah held her hand as she worked. "You're killing yourself." Sarah said. "Maybe," Zara replied. "But your people are willing to die for me. I can do the same for them." On the bridge, Rodriguez watched in satisfaction as 3 hegemony warships went dark, their systems corrupted by the biospores. But there were still 47 enemy ships, and they were adapting to the new weapons. "Commander," one of Vex's officers reported, "the bioweapons are losing effectiveness. Our shields are learning to resist them." "Good," Vex snarled. 2 quantum torpedoes. Nothing biological can survive quantum dissolution. The hegemony ships launched a new barrage. These weapons were different, pure energy that destroyed matter at the atomic level. The Prometheus shuddered as the quantum torpedoes struck home. In the lab, alarms began blaring. "The bioarmor can't adapt fast enough," Zara gasped. "The quantum weapons are killing the living tissue. Can you make it adapt faster?" Zara asked desperately. Zara looked at her with those beautiful purple eyes. "Yes, but it will cost me everything." Another quantum torpedo struck. This time, the ship's hull actually cracked. Air began venting into space. "Hull breach on deck 3, Santos reported. "We can't take much more of this." Zara made her decision. She pressed both hands against the biotech interface and closed her eyes. "I give you everything I am," she whispered to the ship. "Use my life. Use my knowledge. Become something they cannot defeat." The ship responded instantly. Living tissue spread faster, becoming more complex. The Prometheus began to change shape, becoming something that was no longer quite a ship and no longer quite alive, but something entirely new. Commander Vex watched in horror as the human vessel transformed into something beyond his understanding. "What have they done?" he whispered. The answer came in the form of weapons fire, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The transformed Prometheus struck back with the fury of a dying species and the stubborn courage of humanity combined. The real battle was just beginning. Its hull pulsed with living tissue that shifted and changed with each heartbeat. Organic weapons grew from its sides like thorns on a rose. The ship had become something beautiful and terrible, a fusion of human engineering and Altarian bio-technology. But in the lab, Zara was dying. Dr. Park monitored her vital signs with growing alarm. "Her life force is being drained into the ship's systems," he told Sarah. "She's giving everything she has to keep us alive." Sarah held Zara's hand. The Altarian girl's skin was getting paler by the minute, her purple eyes dim with exhaustion. "You have to stop," Sarah pleaded. "You're killing yourself." "The ship needs me," Zara whispered weakly. "Without my life force, The biotech will fail. Your people will die. On the bridge, Captain Rodriguez watched the battle rage around them. The transformed Prometheus was holding its own against the hegemony fleet, but barely. For every enemy ship they disabled, 2 more took its place. And now Commander Vex was bringing his heaviest weapons to bear. Quantum torpedoes spread incoming, Navigator Walsh reported. These are different, bigger than before. Through the view screen, they could see massive projectiles racing toward them. Each one was the size of a shuttle and glowing with deadly energy. Brace for impact, Rodriguez ordered. The quantum torpedoes struck like the fist of an angry god. The ship's bioarmor tried to adapt, but the quantum energy was too destructive. Living tissue burned away in patches across the hull. Atmosphere vented into space through multiple breaches. In the lab, Zara screamed in pain. The ship's injuries were her injuries now. Where the hull was damaged, burns appeared on her skin. Where the bioarmor died, she bled. The connection is too strong, Dr. Park said urgently. The ship is literally feeding on her life. She'll be dead in minutes. Sarah looked around desperately. There had to be another way. Think like a human. What if we shared the load? She asked suddenly. What do you mean? Park replied. Zara's DNA is special because it can regenerate. But human DNA has something else. Diversity. You want to link the entire crew to the ship? Why not? Humans have always been pack hunters. We work better in groups than alone. Maybe the ship could too. On the bridge, another wave of quantum torpedoes was incoming. The ship's defenses were failing. Organic tissue was dying faster than it could regenerate. Hull integrity at 30%, Santos reported from engineering. We can't take another hit like that. Rodriguez made a command decision. All crew to the lab. Emergency protocol. Within minutes, all 12 crew members had gathered around Zara's biotech interface. She looked up at them with confused eyes. What are you doing? She asked weakly. Saving you, Sarah said firmly. And saving all of us. Dr. Park, can you modify the interface to accept multiple genetic patterns? I think so, Park said, his hands flying over the controls. But we don't know what this will do to you. Linking your nervous system to an alien. Biotechnology could kill you. Could is better than will, Rodriguez said. If we don't try something, we're all dead anyway. Santos nodded agreement. The ship needs power to survive. If Zara can't provide it alone, then we'll all provide it. Together, Sarah went first, feeling a strange tingling sensation as alien technology merged with her human DNA. Then Rodriguez, then Park, then all the others. The effect. But this time it was different. The hull became stronger, more adaptable, more aggressive. It's working, Zara said with amazement. Her color was returning as the drain on her life force eased. The ship is drawing power from all of you, not just me. But there was more. Each crew member brought their own expertise to the biotech fusion. Santos's engineering knowledge made the ship's systems more efficient. Walsh's navigation skills gave it better spatial awareness. Park's medical training helped it heal damage. The ship stopped just defending and began fighting back with pure human aggression. Commander Vex watched in disbelief as the Prometheus launched a counterattack unlike anything he had ever seen. Organic missiles that split into dozens of smaller projectiles. Energy beams that curved around obstacles to strike from impossible angles. Defensive fields that turned enemy weapons back on themselves. What is that thing? One of his officers. But destroy it before it destroys us. The hegemony fleet concentrated all their firepower on the transformed ship. Space blazed with deadly energy as 50 warships fired at once. But the Prometheus danced between the attacks like a living thing, moving with reflexes no machine could match, and when it struck back, it fought with the combined knowledge of the ship learned from every mistake, adapted to every strategy, and refused to give up no matter how bad things looked. But he was wrong about one thing. It wasn't one vessel anymore. It was 13 people who had decided that some things were worth dying for. It was human determination powered by alien technology. It was something new in the galaxy. In the lab, the crew stood together around the biotech interface, their hands still connected to the ship's living systems. They could feel every hit the ship took, every victory it won. They were no longer just passengers, they were part of the ship itself. How do you feel? Sarah asked Sarah. The Altarian girl smiled for the first time since her rescue. Like I'm not alone anymore, she said. Like I have a family. Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom from the bridge. Unknown contacts approaching from hyperspace. Looks like reinforcements for the hegemony. Sarah's heart sank. They had been fighting for hours and were barely holding their own against 50 ships. If more enemies arrived, even their biotech fusion wouldn't be enough. But when the new ships... They were smaller ships from dozens of different species. And they were broadcasting a message that made Sarah's eyes fill with tears. This is Captain Tavara of the Centaurian Republic. Came a clear voice over the radio. We're here to help. More voices joined in. Vegan traders. Rigelian miners. Antarian explorers. Dozens of species that had suffered under hegemony rule, all coming to help the humans who had. Risked everything for one innocent girl. You see, Commander Vex, Rodriguez said over the open channel, that's the difference between us and you. We don't fight alone. The real battle was about to begin, but now the odds were changing. For the first time since this all started, Sarah thought they might actually win. Part 5. The new alliance, the space around Kepler Station, had become a battlefield unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. On one side, the 50 massive warships of the hegemony fleet, dark and angular like pieces of a war machine. On the other side, a mixed fleet of dozens of smaller vessels from species across the galaxy, all gathered around the transformed Prometheus. Commander Vex stared at his tactical display in disbelief. How did they know to come here? He demanded. His communications officer looked nervous. Sir, the story has spread across the galactic network. A human crew risking everything to save the last Altarian. Every species that has suffered under a hegemony rule is talking about it. It's just one girl. Vex snarled. No, sir, the officer replied quietly. It's what she represents. Hope. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Captain Rodriguez coordinated with the Allied fleet. The ship's biotech. Connection allowed him to process information faster than any normal human could. He could feel the thoughts and intentions of his crew, and through them, he understood the ship's capabilities in ways that amazed him. Captain Tavara, position your ships in formation delta, he ordered. Use our bioship as cover while you target their weapon systems. It's understood, human. The Centaurian captain replied. Your vessel is remarkable.
How is it moving like that?
Rodriguez smiled. Through the biotech link, he could feel the ship responding to the combined will of his crew. It moved like a living thing because, in many ways, it was. Teamwork, he said simply. In the lab, Sarah monitored the crew's vital signs while they maintained their connection to the ship. All 12 humans were linked to the biotech interface. Sharing the load that had nearly killed Zara, the Altarian girl stood beside them, no longer dying but still weak from her ordeal. Your people are incredible, Zara said, watching the humans work together. On my world, we valued individual perfection, but you, ... you make each other stronger. That's what we do, Sarah replied. We're pack animals. We're always better together. Then apart, the battle raged around them. The Allied fleet was smaller than the hegemony force, but they had something the enemy didn't expect: hope. For too long, these species had lived under hegemony oppression, afraid to fight back. But seeing humans risk everything for one alien girl had awakened something in them. The vegan traders used their fast ships to dart between the enemy vessels, disrupting their formations. The Rigelian miners, used to working in dangerous asteroid fields, piloted their heavy ships with unexpected grace. The Antarian explorers, experts at navigation, helped coordinate the fleet's movements. And at the center of it all, the Prometheus fought with the fury of 13 souls united in purpose. Their bioship is the key to their coordination, Vex. Realized if we destroy it, the rest will scatter. He opened a channel to his fleet. All ships, focus fire on the human vessel. Ignore the others. The hegemony fleet turned their weapons on the Prometheus. Massive energy beams converged on the bioship from all directions. The organic hull pulsed and shifted, adapting to each. attack. But there were so many weapons firing that even its incredible regeneration couldn't keep up. Hull breaches on multiple decks, Santos reported, his voice strained from maintaining the biotech link. We're taking too much damage. In the lab, the crew felt every hit the ship took. Burns appeared on their skin where the hull was damaged. They bled where the bioarmor was destroyed. But none of them let go of the interface. We can't hold this much longer, Dr. Park gasped. Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. I'm not asking you to hold longer. I'm asking you to give everything. You have one final push. Sarah looked at her crewmates, these people who had chosen to risk their lives for a stranger. They were scientists and engineers, not soldiers, but they had hearts like warriors. For Zara, she said. For what's right, Park added. For each other, Santos finished. The crew pressed deeper into the biotech connection. They gave the ship not just their strength, but their memories, their knowledge, their very essence. The Prometheus responded by becoming something beyond biological or mechanical. It became pure will made manifest. The ship began to glow with inner light. Its organic weapons grew larger and more complex. Its movements became impossibly graceful, and when it struck back at the hegemony fleet, it fought with the accumulated wisdom of every human experience. One by one, hegemony warships went dark. Their shields failed against weapons that adapted faster than they could compensate. Their formations crumbled before tactics that changed with each moment. Impossible, Vex screamed, as his flagship systems began to fail. It's just one ship. Came Captain Rodriguez's voice over the radio. Something you'll never understand. It's people who care about each other. The final hegemony warship powered down its weapons. Commander Vex's fleet was beaten, not by superior firepower, but by something they had no defense against, the refusal to abandon those in need. This isn't over, Vex transmitted as his ships prepared to retreat. The hegemony will send more. Fleets. Bigger fleets. Let them come, Rodriguez replied calmly. Word of what happened here will spread. Every oppressed species in the galaxy will know that the hegemony can be beaten. You started something today that you can't stop. As the hegemony fleet limped away into hyperspace, the Allied ships gathered around the Prometheus. The bioship was damaged but alive, its organic hull already beginning to heal itself. In the lab, the crew slowly disconnected from the biotech interface. They were exhausted but victorious. And they were changed. The connection had left them with traces of Altarian biotechnology in their systems. They would live longer, heal faster, and understand each other in ways they never had before. What happens now? Zara asked. Captain Rodriguez entered the lab, his face tired but proud. Now we go home. But first, we have some new friends to talk. Over the next several hours, representatives from dozens of species came aboard the Prometheus. They had seen what humans were willing to do for justice, and they wanted to be part of it. Captain Tavara spoke for many of them. The hegemony has ruled through fear for too long, but today, you showed us something stronger than fear. What's that? Sarah asked. Hope, the Centaurian replied, and the willingness to fight for it. 3 months later, the Prometheus docked. At Earth Station 1, the ship looked different now, still partly organic, still growing and changing. It had become the flagship of something unprecedented in galactic history, a true alliance of free species. Zara stood beside Sarah on the observation deck looking out at the Earth below. The last Altarian was no longer alone. She had found a new family among the humans, and through them, a new purpose. Your people changed everything, she said to Sarah. Not through conquest or fear, but through simple kindness. Sarah smiled. That's what we do best. So we see someone who needs help, and we help them, even when it's dangerous, even when it seems impossible. And now, Zara asked. Sarah looked out at the stars, where Allied ships from across the galaxy were gathering. The hegemony was already facing rebellions on dozens of worlds. The galaxy was changing, and it was changing because a handful of humans had refused to abandon one frightened girl. Now we keep helping, Sarah said. One person at a time, one world at a time, until everyone is free. Zara nodded, her purple eyes bright with hope. Then let's get started. The door to her cage had been opened. Now it was time to open all the others.